Last time we explored the beautiful island of Bornholm together, a place full of charm and quiet coastal beauty. But this time things are about to get a little more lively. In this video, I'll take you along on a journey to Denmark's bustling capital, Copenhagen, and we'll even venture off on a few side quests you don't want to miss. But first, we had to bid farewell to the quiet island of Bornholm and set sail for Ystad, Sweden. Our original plan was to explore Sweden at a leisurely pace, stopping to soak in the sights to enjoy some new landscapes. But the weather had other ideas. Instead of a calm drive, we found ourselves braving relentless rain as we pushed to Malmö, barely able to make out the road ahead. It was as if Sweden wanted us to experience its dramatic side before we left. By the time we finally crossed the bridge back into Denmark and reached our base camp, the rain had ceased and a welcomed calm settled over us as the sky began to clear. With camp set up, it was time for a new adventure, the treetop experience. Imagine a tower rising from the forest floor, winding up 900-meter broad walk until it reaches a striking 45-meter peak. This was no ordinary tower. It's a journey in itself, leading you through the canopy and finally rewarding you with a breathtaking 360 view of Zealand's rolling, hilly landscapes. Before we dove into the sights, let me quickly run through the gear I packed for our 5-week adventure. My trusty Sony a7 III with the 75-180 lens, the versatile Mamiya 7 and the Olympus Mu 5. The tower provided the perfect playground to try new composition techniques, leading lines guiding the eye upward, experimenting with golden ratio, and finding moments of simplicity within the bustling forest scene. The Olympus Mu 5, though, was a bit of a challenge. I found myself wishing for a wider lens to capture the vastness of the tower and surrounding landscape. And then there was the crowd. A constant flow of people climbing the tower made it tricky to frame shots with a clean view. But that's where the longer focal length came in handy, letting me isolate details and craft the story I wanted, despite the bustling scene. This experience wasn't just about the tower, but about finding focus and beauty in the midst of nature and people alike. The next day we set off for Stevens Clint to explore the famous cliffs and the old church perched above them. The path down to the beach was no easy feat. Those stairs were incredibly steep and I watched as many visitors hesitated, struggling either on the descent or as they braced themselves for the climb back up. But let me tell you, the effort was absolutely worth it. The cliffs are mesmerizing, with layers of the yellowish stone that almost seem to glow, and the stone-covered beach below adds to an otherworldly feel. It's a place both humbling and captivating. Let's dive into the main event, Copenhagen. Rather than navigating our van through the city's narrow street and struggling to find a decent parking spot, we opted for the train. As we drew closer to Denmark's bustling capital, the island vibes faded. The train began to fill, packed with commuters, tourists, and all the hustle of a major city. By the time we arrived at Copenhagen Central Station, it was wall-to-wall people. Classic big city energy. We moved quickly, making our way out of the station to pick up our rental bikes, ready to experience the city on two wheels. Copenhagen is a city with endless places to explore, and with 3 kids in tow, we had to pace ourselves. Between playgrounds and parks, we balanced our itinerary so everyone could enjoy the day. One of our first stops was a lively food market, where we grabbed a bite and soaked the city's vibrant atmosphere. And I had a special plan for this day. I brought along my last 2 rolls of Fuji Pro 400H in 120 format. Given how rare and beloved this film stock is, Copenhagen felt like the perfect backdrop for it. Now let's talk about how those Fuji Pro 400H shots turned out. In the first image, things might seem okay at first glance, but a couple issues popped out immediately. First off, the film came out surprisingly contrasty. If you're familiar with Pro 400H, you know it's supposed to have those dreamy pastel tones. Here though, the colors were much more intense. Maybe I hadn't exposed enough to compensate for the film's 2008 expiration date. Or maybe I slipped up during developing, or perhaps it was the conversion settings in Negative Lab Pro. Either way, this isn't the look I was going for. Take a look at this shot on my Sony for comparison. This is more in line with what I expected from Fuji Pro 400, soft, balanced tones. But with the film, the colors came out way too bright and contrast heavy. For example, the yellow wall on this house should be a gentle, mellow yellow, but instead it's almost a blinding orange. Interestingly though, the greens in the film shots turned out way closer to real life, unlike the yellows, which really missed the mark. If any of you have thoughts on what might have gone wrong, drop the comment down below. I'd love to get some advice on avoiding these issues in the future and getting closer to that classic Pro 400 look. Now to the crown jewel of Copenhagen, Nyhavn. And let me tell you, this place was absolutely buzzing. We rented a cargo bike for me and the kids and grabbed a regular bike too. But with the constant flow of pedestrians, bikes and cars, it felt like every inch of space was claimed. Navigating through all of that was an adventure on itself. This is also where I captured one of my favorite shots from the whole roll. The iconic, colorful buildings lining in the water. There's something about this shot that just speaks to me. Sure, the orange tones came out a little bit intense, again, but overall it really captures the vibe I was hoping for. For reference, I kept all the settings in Negative Lab Pro by their default. I experimented with both the Frontier and the Noritsu conversions, and in the end, the Frontier setting came just a bit closer to that soft Fuji Pro 400H look I was aiming for. Our final stop in Copenhagen was this spot. A lively spot that's practically heaven for food lovers. The place was filled with people, stalls, and a whole world of food options. After a day of cycling around in the city, we couldn't have been more ready to kick back, grab some food, and soak in the atmosphere. It was the perfect way to wind down before heading back to our base camp. We hadn't spent much time yet in Änö, but one evening I took the chance to explore the beach side. Being on the west side of Zealand means you get these incredible sunsets over the water. A rare treat for us coming from a landlocked country. There's just something magical about visiting a place with beaches and open seas, so I couldn't help myself from snapping photos of all the little things we don't usually see back home. A basketball court on sand, weathered lifeguard huts, and that endless horizon stretching out over the ocean. Next up, it's Møns Klint. Probably the most touristy stop on our Denmark trip. The setup here matched its popularity too. A huge parking area and an impressive visitor center made it clear this place draws crowds. The descent down to the beach was an adventure on itself. Going down was easy, but like Stevens Klint, the way back up was another story. Once you reached sea level though, it was worth every step. The place feels like another planet entirely. The water has this mesmerizing green-blue tint, almost like those postcard shots from the Maldives, except of course cold. And the beach, with its smooth, ivory-white stones, adds to that surreal atmosphere. We arrived late in the day. If you ever make it here, I'd recommend coming in the morning, when the light bathes the cliffs in full and adds more to the magic. So that's a wrap on part 2 of our Denmark journey. In the next video, we're heading to my personal highlights, Skagen and Denmark's west coast. Thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next one.